Brooklyn Independent Television.
Customers, marketing, inventory, staff. Just a few of the many concerns any small business owner has. Here's another one. The city you're doing business in. Are its rules and regulations supportive or intrusive? Do they encourage growth, or do they make you want to just shut the door once and for all? Here to talk about the issues where Brooklyn businesses meet New York City government, licenses and fines, parking and food vendors, calorie counts, banning the big gulp, and much more, is Councilmember Vincent J. Gentile, representing the 43rd District in Southwest Brooklyn. Councilman, thanks for being here.
Randy, it's always great to talk to you, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
So from your perspective, from the perspective of the council, what's the environment right now for small businesses in Brooklyn?
I have to say it's not a bright one. A new survey just came out saying that mom and pop stores, their optimism level continues to decline as we speak and as we tape today. The mayor says that we're a business-friendly city, but I'm not so sure how business-friendly we are when we play this game of gotcha mentality with businesses, and that's really what I've been talking about for the last year or so, that we have to stop harassing businesses, particularly small mom and pop shops that are trying to survive in this very hard economy.
I know you've been a strong advocate to sort of lessen red tape and eliminate some fines that hurt small businesses. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Right now, for example, the Department of Consumer Affairs expects to take in $4 million additional in fines than they did over last year. That's $4 million more that they're taking in revenue. So, my point of view is always that enforcement should be to obey the law that we have. But enforcement has become another way of revenue raising. And that is where the small businesses are getting squeezed. They're getting squeezed by whether it be Department of Consumer Affairs, Department of Health, whether it be fire department inspections, whatever. It's the city agencies that are squeezing the small business business merchants so that we're raising the revenue, but they're getting hurt in the pocketbook. And one of the things I have said is that, for example, we have small businesses that are getting fined for very minor infractions, something wrong on a receipt that could be easily fixed, lack of signage or correct signage that needs to be up. Right now, anybody with those infractions will get a fine from whether it be Department of Health or Department of Consumer Affairs. I am saying let those infractions be noted and corrected before a fine is imposed, because the inspector is going to go back anyway. They're going to go back anyway to be sure that
sort of like give them a warning.
Give them a warning, right? Exactly. And this way, it allows the merchant to come in conformance with the law, but at the same time doesn't hurt them in the pocketbook, at least for the first go round when they're told that they're in violation.
Because in some cases they just don't know.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Let's talk about a very, very hot topic, especially in the summertime: parking.
Yes.
And how it relates to small businesses.
Sure, absolutely. One of the things that I started to see in the last year or so is that the parking meters were limited to 1 hour. And that became a real issue and a real problem for merchants, particularly merchants in the local areas, where if you go to a hair salon or you go to any kind of a treatment center, or you go even to a doctor's appointment
or a restaurant
right. Even you need more than an hour. You don't want to be running out in the middle of what you're doing to go put another quarter or two in your meter, so or the muni meter, whatever the case may be. So I began, at least in my neighborhood, a campaign to return the meters to 2-hour minimum meters. And I'm glad to say that DOT has agreed to do that, and they have replaced, at least on 3rd, 5th, 13th Avenue, the 1 hour meters to 2 hour meters. That's good for the consumer who parks, looking to park, and for the merchants who are looking for these people to do business. So that's a positive thing that's happened that will help the local businesses in our area.
You have also, I think, sponsored some legislation regarding alternate side of the street parking and when it should be suspended.
Yes, exactly. The days that on holidays where alternate side of street parking is suspended, we should also suspend the meters in order that, because it's very confusing for people. Can I park, not park? Do I need to put money in the meter? And a lot of people get caught because they don't understand that even though its alternate side may be suspended, the meters are still in effect. So my legislation would say that when alternate side is suspended, also suspend the meters. And I think that would be a less of a gotcha kind of a deal that we have with people, and allows them on those types of days to park and shop without having to worry about getting a summons.
So I know there are some new and exciting things that are happening in Bay Ridge, particularly around the business community. You want to talk about some of those?
Sure. Very business community oriented. I'm very excited about it. First of all, this summer, we're going to have 4 weekends where we transform a portion of 3rd Avenue in Bay Ridge into Piazza San Marco, so to speak, where we're going to close the streets for about an 8-block area, and we're going to open it up, make it a pedestrian type area, so people will be able to come down with their families, walk the streets without vehicular traffic. It's only limited to those merchants on the avenue. Restaurants and shops will expand and come out to the sidewalk, allow people to shop and eat and have a lovely time in that area for the night. And we're going to have cultural events, whether it be singers, magicians, all kinds of things that will be free, that people come down with their families and really sort of have a little town square kind of atmosphere. We're going to do that on four Friday nights, 2 in July, 2 in August, and hopefully that'll be a boost in the arm for the merchants and also a way to bring people together in the Bay Ridge area. So I'm very, very excited about it.
It's unusual to do it on Friday night, but it makes a lot of sense,
yes,
right? That's when people are coming to the restaurants and people want to...
And the merchants wanted it.
They don't have work the next day or school,
Exactly.
and they could spend some time.
Most of the city does the summer streets in the afternoons on Saturday, but we decided to ask for permission to do a Friday night, and they've given us that, and the merchants are excited, very excited, and I hope this is a real good thing for merchants.
And what's happening on the waterfront?
On the waterfront is great. We're going to open up the waterfront in Bay Ridge with the construction of an eco dock. It's a recreational dock that'll be up and running by next spring, and it'll allow recreational type of kayaking and other activities on the waterfrnt, and it will mostly allow day boaters to come in to Bay Ridge, dock at the 69th Street Pier on this eco dock, come in, shop and dine in Bay Ridge, and then get back on the boats and go back. It is a new way to get to Bay Ridge, new way to enjoy all that Bay Ridge has to offer with the shops and the restaurants. And hopefully by springtime of 2013, we'll be up and running.
And that pier is, I've been there so many times, and it's just an amazing space to begin with. So this is just going to add to the attraction.
It is. That the waterfront, and you have the bike path that goes from that pier all the way to Bay Parkway, underneath the Verrazano Bridge. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous view. You don't believe you're in Brooklyn when you're in.
I love watching the cruise ships go out.
The cruise ships go by, yeah. And so now, not only can you do that, and there's fishing on that pier, you will have the opportunity to use recreational facilities on the water through the construction of this eco dock. So it's good for the community, it's good for recreation, but it's also good for business.
Sure, it brings people into the community. So I have to ask you about the large soda ban, since it's such a current topic.
Yes. Well, Randy, I have to tell you that I'm duty bound as a councilman to report back to the mayor, and I've looked around the studio here. No one has 16 ounces or more soda, so that's a good thing, and I'll have to report back to the mayor about that. Yes, it is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that the mayor would venture into this area and try to tell people what's best for them. Yes, talk about obesity, talk about the dangers of it, do the public service announcements, and then ultimately it becomes the individual's choice on what they do. It's overstepping government's bounds to do what the mayor is proposing to do.
I have to agree with you on that. Councilman, I want to thank you for being here. I
Are we
appreciate
done
the
already?
time. We're done, but I appreciate the time, and I also appreciate all that you've been doing to help small businesses
Thank you.
throughout
And Randy,
Brooklyn.
you've been a major force in Brooklyn, and I look forward to working with you in the future, too.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at bricartsmedia.org/BIT.